In our palatial studios right here at I-95, we welcome a Democratic mayoral candidate, Chris Setaro.
Hey, Chris.
Good morning. Thank you.
Who would live here if he was able to?
He likes it here.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? It's fun. So, obviously, we played the segment in question about 15 minutes ago. Things heating up between Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton and Chris Setaro. Chris called into question Mark Boughton's hire of Mark Dillon to the city office, being that Mark was his former gubernatorial campaign manager. Mark reacted, called you delusional, said that you owe Mark Dillon an apology. He said that when you sat on city council, Gene Eriquez would never have run or did not run these types of hires by anybody. What do you have to say?
Yeah, let's clear that up. Yeah, I heard the segment. The mayor was flying off the handle a little bit, and let's clear it up. What I said and what we're saying is that when the chief elected official of the city of Danbury hires his former campaign manager 3 months before an election, and he hires him onto his staff, doesn't have a press conference, doesn't put out a press release, doesn't advise anybody that he's made this hire, there's change in his office. He's not obligated to do it, but if you don't do that, it gives the impression that this person, you didn't want people to know that you had hired him, right? And so it would have been far better, and this is what I said, to have disclosed it. Now, the mayor's saying that this is somebody who has a tremendous amount of local experience. Well, if you hire somebody with a tremendous amount of local experience, then you let people know, hey, we're making this great hire, right? But that's not how this was handled. And so, I think that people have a right to be concerned about hiring political people onto your staff just a few months before an election that's obviously hotly contested. And so it gives the impression that, there's not like a wall here between the mayor's office and somebody else's office in that suite that he has. So, if you hire your political staff onto your paid governmental staff and you don't announce it, I think you risk people perceiving that as doing political business on city time, or could have that risk.
Did it not appear anywhere? Or was there an article in one of the newspapers or e-editions about this?
There was a piece in the News Times about it right around the time that I came in and spoke to you last week, and it said in the article that it couldn't find the hire's name, the person's name, Mark Dillon, on any city website, and wasn't listed anywhere as an employee. And so it raised a question, and the headline was, campaign manager, new city employee. So, I think the media was concerned about it as well.
Yeah, you brought the article in with you. You came in hot, understandably. You had almost an entire week to react to this. That's the tough part. It's almost like the NFL with these segments. These guys have a game on Sunday, and then they got to wait an entire week to speak on it again. But I know you're fired up. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. 2 minutes before you came in, I was watching a dwarf dancing in a diiper on Instagram.
What the show is about. We don't do a lot of political stuff.
Well, look, and let me just clear one other issue up. No one is saying, and I'm not saying, that the mayor has to run his political staff or his staff in his office by the council. The council doesn't approve or consent to staffing issues in the mayor's office. I'm not saying that, and that's not been our position. All I'm saying is that it would have been far better to have disclosed that this hire was being made, because you would think somebody who's been mayor for 18 years would probably know that there's a perception issue there as to what this person is going to do in your office. So that's what I meant. That's what I said, and I stand by it.
Mark says you owe Mark Dillon. Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton says you owe Mark Dillon an apology. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that the people that are owed an apology are the people of the city, because the people of the city, I think, ought to know who's working in the mayor's office.
All right, so you're saying it's bad optics.
I'm saying that it's bad optics in the best light, yeah. It certainly gives the impression that you're bringing somebody on. The timing of it, with that political background, gives the impression that, maybe there's more happening here than just somebody with a great resume.
This makes the debate coming up a lot more interesting, I'll tell you that. Thursday, October 10th. Now, that's the first one?
That is.
Okay. This is the Crown Plaza in Danbury. It goes 6 to 7 Thursday, October 10th, but actually there's a cocktail hour. 5 to, I didn't know there were cocktail hours.
Yeah.
Is that
let
typical?
Me ask you a question.
Yeah,
will there be snacks?
I'm not sure if there's going to be snacks. I didn't get into the
All
details
right,
of the menu, but I hear that there's a real hot menu that's going to be on display.
All right.
Tickets are $20 to $50. Eventbrite.com for tickets and information, so you can go and you can watch the debate. I think we should go. Or
I'm not paying $20 to $50.
Why you can run me $20?
Let me say something about that. I mean, I had shared with the chamber that our concern that people have an opportunity to hear the candidates free of charge, and so I understand that if you're going to serve food, there's a cost, and so I get it, but in the end, I think people have a right to hear the candidates. People want to see them and hear them, and so free of charge.
I concur.
So that's why we've said. In addition to that debate, that there ought to be an additional debate so that people will have access to the candidates, can hear them, hear our positions, and they don't have to pay any money to do it.
We want to do that here, but away from this circus, because this is a whole other thing. When you do this show, either one of you, what venue would you suggest? I would imagine there'd be a big turnout if it was free.
Well, yeah, I know in the past that there's been a debate at Broadview, and there wasn't a charge, and the League of Women Voters put it on. They've reached out to the campaigns. We've indicated that we'd be willing to have another debate, and the last email that I saw from them was that they hadn't heard back from the Republicans, and so they were under the impression that they weren't going to agree. But as far as the debate here, I haven't heard that's definitely going forward. Is that the case?
Ethan, I don't know, where are we on scheduling the debate here?
We're not set in stone yet. I will wrap that up.
Okay.
Today.
Sweet.
So you are available, the date we talked about, correct?
It was the week after the first debate.
Right.
Okay.
Let me ask a question, if I could. I want to talk about your Democratic mayoral signs.
Chris Setaro in studio, by the way.
Yeah, signs coordinator.
Yes.
You have signs all over the place, and they're humongous.
He loves the signs.
They're huge.
Some are huge.
Wow,
yeah.
This guy must be really it must be a hot shot because these signs are gigantic.
Well, there's a mix of 4x8s, and then there's also there's traditional lawn signs, and it's just part of the visibility. We want people to know that I'm running, and one way to do that is by the signs.
Yeah, people know. People know now.
Well, I thought they knew just from your show. I figured if everyone knew just from my appearance here every week. But the signs are one way that we let people know that I'm running, and it does draw interest. And major intersections or in highly traveled areas, we've got some bigger signs. So I appreciate it. I'll take that as a compliment that you've seen our signs.
Let's talk about what I think is an issue, and I have some personal experience with this. I have a friend who is moving out of Danbury, and the reason is he has a special needs son, and he doesn't think that he's getting the care in school for him that it's the best for him. And this is not the first time I've heard this. I have a special needs sister, and this is not a unique problem to Danbury. It comes up in a lot of towns and a lot of school districts. And he says he can get better care for his son in another school district. Have you had people bring this issue to you, and what are your thoughts on the special needs care in our public schools in Danbury?
I think that it's important that we provide a quality education to the students in our city, including special needs students, obviously. And on this issue in particular, I mean, we've said that we think that the school district needs to be properly funded, and that the teachers and the students need the resources so that they can succeed. And so, when you hear things like you just described to me, it's unsettling, disturbing, right? That we live in a city where people are moving out because they feel that the quality of education just isn't there. And, Danbury's last in per pupil expenditure. And that's why we've said, funding education isn't necessarily an issue of increasing the mill rate. What it is a matter of priorities. It's a matter of how our elected officials view that in terms of where the funding is going to come from, working with our state delegation to lobby the governor and the legislature. And that's why I've said that, we need a mayor who's going to lobby the governor and the legislature for better funding for the things that we need. But and that is the case. I mean, I don't think that it's a badge of honor that the city of Danbury is 169 out of 169 in per pupil expenditure. I've had realtors tell me that they don't think that that's a positive thing, that people view that negatively, obviously. And so I absolutely think that we need a mayor who's going to be a champion for public education. And I've said that's important to me. But on the specific issue of special needs, there's a playground over at Pembroke School where there is 30% of the students are special needs, and the playground wasn't funded by the city, and so the parents and the teachers got together, and for 2 years they were having bake sales and these kinds of fundraising events to try to raise $150,000 for a playground that would accommodate special needs students. Now, once it came to light after all that time that this was the case, eventually, just recently, the city stepped in and said, we'll finish the job. But for a period of years, you've got parents trying to fund a playground for their children. That just seems outrageous to me that would be the case. So when you explain to me or you recount to me a story like that, it's troubling.
You know what I find troubling is that this guy's been on the air for 40 years and still has his ringer on every single morning. Troubling.
Nothing to do with our conversation with
sorry about that.
No, so I just think that the playground at Pembroke School is an illustration of what you're saying, right? Which is that we need a commitment to our public schools, and including and especially special needs students, because it's important. And the last thing you want to hear is that people are moving out of Danbury because they feel that their children aren't getting the education that they need.
Chris Setaro, is there anything else you wanted to say? Any plugs you wanted to give?
I just want to say, aside from the fact that I'm every week I have to decide whether or not this is the best idea, this is the best thing to come in. It's really been I think not only good for the three of us, but I think it's good for people to hear what the candidates have to say. And like I said earlier, any venue to do that is a good one, and free of charge, right, where people don't have to pay like they do for the debate. And I'm certainly happy to be here.
Have you had your advisors tell you to get off of this?
I don't know. My wife's not. She's been really supportive, so I think I keep coming back.
That answers our question,
Chris. We already knew the answer. Chris Setaro, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Always good to be here. Thanks, guys.
All righty.